What is going on, everybody? Hope everyone's enjoying their week. If this is your first time on my channel, please smash the subscribe button and hit that bell notification. That way you don't miss content when I drop it. And today I'm going to be doing, this is just a kind of a short video on what I've been up to. I have decided to actually build my first PC. Now, I was actually going to make this video after I had actually after I had made it, and although the thumbnail shows the parts that I actually have for the PC build, I actually had to kind of alter it a little. And by alter it, I mean that I actually already have the PC built. We were just waiting on some parts to actually get it up and running, and well, I kind of broke it in a sense. So basically what happened was I picked up the case with everything installed, the motherboard and the GPU, and well, it slipped out of my hand. And since I had it at waist high, typically when you have a PC that you build and you drop it, especially if it's at waist high, it can do some damage. It might not do any damage. It really depends on, you know, where it lands on the case. And well, unfortunately, I damaged the GPU, which so happened to be one that my brother actually gave to me that I could use in my PC build. Now, unfortunately, with that, and the motherboard in itself was having issues, that kind of was a setback. So having issues well before I actually dropped the PC itself. The motherboard was having issues with actually connection issues when we had the motherboard connected to my TV. It wouldn't register the motherboard, so there really wasn't anything being broadcast on the TV, so you couldn't tell if it was on, if I had it in the wrong HDMI port. So I went through all my HDMI ports. It wasn't showing anything, so we just kind of figured that it had to be the motherboard. So it's possible I might have got a defective motherboard. So even before the drop had occurred, the motherboard was probably defective. But aside from that, yeah, I dropped it by accident and I damaged the GPU, which unfortunately my brother gave me. It was a nice GPU too. It was an MSI 980X gaming GPU, and it bent a little. And although when you plugged it in and turned it on, when you had the PCIe connected to it, it comes on, the fans don't come on. So what does that mean? That basically means that if it ever tends to get hot, there is no way to cool the GPU because the fans are working. So I ended up having to throw it away. And actually my brother, which is, I wouldn't say it's a good thing, but it's not a bad thing, because in the end, it's kind of one of those accidental type of bad thing happened, but good thing results from it. So my brother actually decided to buy me a RTX 2070 graphics card, which is a far superior graphics card. I just had to pay him back for it. And I ended up returning the motherboard that I had and actually had to order a new one. So that one will be coming in, I believe, either Friday or Sunday, one of the two. And I also had to return a solid state, which is what I was actually going to originally use for my boot up drive for my Asus ROG B54 gaming motherboard. But unfortunately, that motherboard does not recognize the type of SD or the SSD drive that I actually had installed in it. Actually, I bought the wrong one. Didn't know about it until, you know, later on when it couldn't recognize the drive. So I ended up returning that, and I bought the motherboard on Amazon because I originally bought it at Best Buy, but since Best Buy was out of them, with the return that I did, they refunded me, and I was actually able to get that same motherboard for $50, and it's normally $170 some odd dollar motherboard. And again, I'll have a link in the description for everything I'm talking about currently, and then when I have it fully built, I will talk more about it. But this is just kind of just a recap of what's going on and what I've been doing, and just kind of show you where I'm at in terms of progress. And again, if you've never built a PC, they're not daunting as I would have thought they would have been. It's just knowing the right parts, knowing who to talk to, and to find, you know, the correct information that you need for your own build. It's great looking at like YouTubers who do gaming on Twitch and all that, but they have vastly more experience in building PCs, and they also have the financial means to do that, whereas opposed to someone such as myself who may or may not have that kind of, you know, financial needs. I don't want to make my first build like an expensive one and then kind of go on that, because now you've already maxed out what you're spending. Now you got to go even higher in that. So I didn't really want to do that. So with what I'm doing now, it's not a bad PC build, and by no means am I getting rid of my Mac, which I have right there. As you can see, I am not getting rid of my Mac, at least not yet. I'm still going to be an Apple guy. I'm still going to carry my iPhone, my iPad, and pretty much mostly all the Apple-related stuff that I still use. But in terms of just what I need to do, my iMac is just not capable of doing it. And one of the reasons why is I need the available RAM in order to run any type of rendering of whatsoever. So I'll show you the processor that I'm running in just a few minutes, and what I'm putting in in terms of internal specs. But when it comes to my iMac, I'm pushing a quad core with 8 gigs of RAM. So anyone who runs Adobe knows that Adobe is a system hog. It just generally takes up a lot of RAM to push. And running 8 gigs of RAM is just kind of like the bare minimum. But since I shoot everything in 4K, and when I'm rendering it on a quad core, it takes it a long time to render that. And by a long time, I mean, typically if I'm doing a video that's like maybe 10 to 15 minutes long, and even when I cut it to maybe 12 minutes, it still takes it on average about a half hour to render. Now that's not a bad thing in terms of if you're just going into just shooting 1080 videos and then doing that, and you're using like iMovies, then again, it's perfectly fine for that. But in terms of any higher resolution and doing of higher graphics when it comes to cutting and editing, 8 gigs is just not enough for that. You really should go with just the minimum of 16 gigs of RAM. And for me to do that on the iMac as it currently sits, at its base, that cost me $1,500. Now, if I were to buy the actual upgraded version, say I want to add 16 gigs of RAM to that, that puts that at $1,500 up to $1,700. And the only thing that I actually did was upgrade the RAM from 8 to 16. That's kind of a lot of money just to add 8 more gigs of RAM. And obviously I could do it myself, but with the way the Macs are now, at least the 21 inches, they're self-sealed and self-contained. So I would have to actually buy a tool off of iFixit.com in order to do that. And again, that's a $200 some odd tool set, and I don't want to do that, nor do I want to take it to someone and have them do it because they're going to charge me just as much. So the easiest solution was to simply build my own PC. And since my brother, who's built PCs before and has been building them for quite a while, he kind of helped me in my endeavor. Like I said, he gave me the MSI 980 GPU, and unfortunately, with the snafu I did, he again helped me with that graphics card. He actually bought me the NVIDIA 27 RTX graphics card, which is significantly better than the 980. Not saying that the 980 wasn't good, even if I didn't break it, but like I said, when bad things happen, usually something good comes from it. It's just a reminder that when it comes to building a PC, you kind of have to be careful in what you're doing, because if you damage something, you end up having to buy something else. And with what's going on with all this pandemic and stuff, there's a lot of people out there building PCs right now. So the availability of certain parts, you may not be able to get what you got. You may either have to downgrade or spend more to upgrade. So you have to be very careful when it comes to building your PC, just in that general spec. So I'm going to kind of show you what I have going on now, because I had to remove the motherboard and pretty much gut it out all over again. So I'll show you what I have and what I'm using, and then just kind of end it there. So this is the case that I'm using. This is known as a Fantax Eclipse case. I bought this up in Newegg. Amazon, I believe it was like $66. This is a mid-tower ATX tower. So you have 3 different types of towers. You have the full tower, which is the much taller ones. Those are the ones you'll see at, like, say, Best Buy or online or Walmart. Those are full towers. Mid towers are something like this, where they're a little bit smaller than the full tower, so they're a little bit more, if you need a little bit more space, but you don't have a space to come in a full tower, you'd go with the mid tower. And then you have the micro towers, which are much smaller, but also cause a little bit of, when it comes to upgrading, it makes them a little bit more difficult to upgrade because it's smaller. So kind of having to get your hands around in the insides and having to do that tend to make it a little bit difficult. So I went with the mid tower, which is what my brother recommended. So that's the Fantax. It comes, as you see here, with cable ties and all of that. Comes with a 120 millimeter fan. But again, like I said, my brother graciously gave me 2 other fans. These are the 144s. So as you can see in here, these are much bigger fans. I have one there, and then I have one here. Eventually, I might swap these to a much larger one, but I don't really see the reason to, as I'll end up having 4 fans running it anyway. I'll have one here, one there, and then I have the one that comes with the GPU. So that's that. and there's ample space in here to kind of move things around. As you can see, I've got a lot of cable ties and stuff that I can get things around, and I already got the power unit as well. As you can see from this is the Seagull 750. Now originally I was just going to go with a 650 watt power unit or power cell, or I forget how the terminology is, but you know what I mean. And so my brother bought this for me because it was at a better deal than the one I was going to get. So he bought that for me, which is cool. So I'm glad he did. And unfortunately, like I said, with the solid state drive that I was going to use on the motherboard, it not being the right one for it, I just ended up buying a regular SATA drive, which is a cool thing because again, it does show it. It does right here. This is the SATA cable for my 2 terabyte Western Digital. Now, when I get my other SSD, this is a actual an extra storage unit that I'm actually going to put Windows on once I'm done. That's going to sit here at the bottom here, so you probably won't be able to see it. Let's see if I can crank. But again, there is a 2-bay expansion slot in here that I will be able to utilize. Like I said, I already used the first bay for my 2 terabyte one. That's going to be my main hard drive for now. And then when I get my solid state, it's going to sit at the bottom right there. And that will be my main drive. And this will be like my external. And then I plan on buying another NVM drive, but this one will be one that actually is compatible with the motherboard that I'll be getting. And again, I have a link in the description on that motherboard. As you already know, it's going to be the ROG Strict BF50 or 450F gaming one. And here's again, like I said, it does have the tempered glass, which I think just about everybody and their cousin, when they're buying or making a build, will want to use. So that's actually kind of cool. As you can see, word of advice: be careful if you drop these and break it. It's a pain in the butt to have to go and get a new one. So be careful with it, especially if it's your first build. So yes, although I haven't broken mine, thank God, yes, but be careful. And as you can see, this is that 144-inch fan, which again is kind of cool. And that will actually be covered up. That's actually covered up by this. This is simply just clips onto that, and then that's how that works. So that's pretty cool. And then this is the backing for that. And that's what I'm doing with that. That's the case right there. Again, this is the Eclipse case ATX mid tower from Fantax. Now the chip that I'm going, this is going to be a full AMD build inside in terms of just the chip and the motherboard. And I'm going with the Ryzen 5. Now this is the 3500. I'm sorry, this is a 3600 AMD. Now the reason why I didn't want to go with a 7 core is because I don't need it. I'm not doing anything that requires that. These are all unlocked and overclocked. So that's the chip that I'm using right now. It's not a bad, it actually comes with its own CPU fan. So that's going to be pretty cool. So I can attach that to my motherboard. And then this is the RAM that I'm going with. These are Corsairs. This is the 16 gigs of RAM. So it's 2 8-gig sticks. Now again, as I said before, buying this for my Mac, that's a $200 extra in order for me to add that to my RAM on my Mac, even though my Mac is already at $1,500. This is way less expensive and works much better. So again, it's a cheaper solution to buying a whole new Mac and then having to do that. So, and that is where I'm at now when it comes to my PC build. Like I said, I actually almost had it all done, aside from the motherboard issues that I had. Once I'm done building this, I will actually show off the build itself. The motherboard is RGB, and the motherboard, the motherboard is RGB as well as the case. So these are the USB ports. These are 3.0. That's the microphone jack, headphone jack. This is the RGB light. I, for some reason, thought that was the power button, and this was something else for the fans. But that's the RGB lights, which means that my case is RGB light ready, and that is the power button for that. So that is the cool thing about this case, is that it is equipped with RGB lighting. I just have to actually set it up myself. And that is pretty much the gist of the build of what I'm doing. Like I said, I would have had this done earlier, but you know, things happen, especially when it's your first time building something. Accidents are bound to happen. This has happened to be an accident that turned into a good thing. So when I have the build completely done, I will show you what it looks like once everything is installed inside of it. And that is pretty much it. So again, if this is your first time to my channel, please smash the subscribe button, hit the bell notification, that way you don't miss content when I drop it. And I want to thank everybody who is subscribed to my channel, as I've already done the camera bag giveaway at 400 subscribers. And again, I will be doing a camera giveaway once I reach the 500 subscriber landmark. Again, I wasn't even expecting to actually get this far on my channel, but I did it so fast. And I want to thank each and every subscriber who has been watching my videos and giving likes and subscribes. And again, don't forget that 500 subscribers, I will be doing a camera giveaway. So that is pretty much the last announcement that I'm going to have. So I want to thank everybody for watching again. My name is Black Apino, the Apple Guy. Everyone enjoy your week, stay safe, and see you next video.